The security guard didn't even blink when I approached the entrance. He simply looked me up and down, pointed toward the service hallway, and said, "Staff goes that way." I could have corrected him. I could have told him I wasn't there to carry trays or refill glasses. But I didn't. I just walked in the direction he pointed, letting the humiliation settle quietly on my shoulders like cold air settling on bare skin. Inside that ballroom, inside that polished world, my sister was desperate to impress. No one had any idea who I really was. And the moment they found out, the moment the truth cracked open the shiny image they lived inside, that was the moment everything would change. My sister had called me 2 weeks earlier with the same tone she used when reminding me not to embarrass her in family photos. She spoke fast, like she was reading from a script she didn't want interrupted, telling me that the engagement party would be elegant and important, filled with people who understood success, and that maybe just this once I could try to look like part of the family. She didn't mean it to hurt. That was always the worst part. She genuinely believed she was helping me avoid embarrassment, never realizing I had learned long ago how to stand quietly in a room and let other people decide what they thought of me. I told her I'd be there. She didn't ask where I'd been for the past 3 years. She didn't ask why I suddenly seemed busy, grounded, unavailable. My family had quietly assumed I was off wasting time on another online project. They couldn't explain to their friends, and I let them believe it. Walking through the hotel kitchen that night in jeans and an old sweatshirt, I slid through the swarm of cooks and servers like I belonged among them. Someone even handed me a stack of napkins. I didn't correct them either. Moving unnoticed has always been easy for me. Meanwhile, upstairs, my sister was probably adjusting the dress she'd spent weeks obsessing over, rehearsing her smile, terrified of disappointing the people she wanted so badly to impress. She told me the groom's family came from old money, the kind that owned summer homes, and used words like heritage and legacy. She didn't know that wealth fades quickly when mismanaged. She didn't know their legacy was crumbling. As I waited for the service elevator, surrounded by the clatter and chaos of the kitchen, I felt something settle inside me. Not dread certainty. Tonight would unravel more than a party. It would unravel the illusions she had built her future on. When the service elevator doors opened onto the ballroom level, tension hit me like a cold gust. Not joy. Not music tension stretched tight like a wire ready to snap. My sister stood at the center of it all, obsessively rearranging the same centerpiece for the 4th time, scolding staff with a desperate voice that hovered between panic and superiority. She didn't see me. Or maybe she didn't want to. The groom's family hovered nearby, elegant, entitled, wearing confidence like perfume. The groom's mother inspected floral arches as though selecting produce. The father stood behind her pretending to care while checking his watch. The younger brother leaned against the bar, scanning the room as if shopping for attention. When I tried to slip past, he stepped into my path with a smirk people like him think is charming. "You working tonight?" he asked, eyes sliding over my sweatshirt. Before I could respond, he pulled out a folded bill. "If you're not busy later, bring a drink to my suite." I turned away. He muttered, "These staff girls get so sensitive." His words stung, not because they were aimed at me, but because they revealed exactly how his family viewed people like my sister people, trying desperately to be accepted by them. Back in the kitchen, things were spiraling. The chef was pacing, frustrated by my sister's constant last-minute changes, switching the menu 3 times into hours. Staff were exhausted, defeated. "If she sends this back again, I'm quitting," one muttered. Another whispered. The groom's mother complained the champagne isn't the right shade of gold. But the final blow came when a floor manager rushed in, pale. "The event payment bounced," he said. "Bounced. Insufficient funds." The truth rippled through the kitchen like a cold wind. I didn't feel shock, just confirmation. Pieces I'd sensed all night snapped into place. The guard at the door. My sister's frantic perfection. The groom's family's forced elegance. The tension. The performance. They couldn't afford any of this. And they were lying to everyone, including my sister. I washed my hands and walked away from the prep counter. No one noticed me leave. No one ever notices the invisible. I stepped into the private elevator, the one only executives used, a quiet, elegant space very different from the chaos below. The elevator opened onto the executive floor, where everything was silent, polished, and calm. Here, I wasn't invisible. Here, I was the one who signed the paychecks. I placed my finger on the sensor and walked into the office. The room greeted me with clean lines and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. I went straight to the wall of monitors. A few taps, and every security camera in the building flickered to life. I rewound until I found her, the groom's mother, leaning in close to a staff member at the audio booth. Her hand slipped him cash. He nodded nervously and plugged something into the sound panel. Sabotage. Intentional. Malicious. My heartbeat slowed. Not anger focus. I opened financial files next. A spread of unpaid bills, overdue mortgages, bank warnings, a pending foreclosure on their estate. Their wealth was a costume stitched together with debt and denial, and they planned to use my sister as a financial reset. I called security and had them pull copies of the footage. Then I called the general manager, instructing him to wait for my signal to confront the payment situation. Everything would be done cleanly, professionally, legally. This wasn't revenge. This was truth. When I stepped out of the elevator back onto the ballroom level, noise crashed over me again, forced laughter, clinking glasses. The frantic energy of people pretending everything was fine. I grabbed an empty tray to blend into the staff. The younger brother gave me a smug lift of his glass, still assuming I existed to serve him. My sister was still fluttering around the floral arch, terrified that imperfection would ruin her chance at acceptance. She didn't know the entire illusion was seconds away from shattering. The ballroom doors opened again, and the general manager walked in holding a folder like it contained a bomb. My sister waved to him eagerly. She expected validation, praise, control. But he didn't stop at her. He walked straight past her and stopped in front of me. "Miss Lane," he said loudly. The room froze. Conversations died mid-sentence. I set the tray on the bar. "I'm listening," I replied. "The event payment was returned," he announced. "Insufficient funds. We need your direction on how to proceed." The groom's mother's face drained of color. The groom stared at his parents in disbelief. My sister blinked rapidly, confusion swirling. I pulled out my phone and connected it to the ballroom's screens. Security footage filled every display. The groom's mother bribing a staff member, her pointing at the microphone, the device being plugged in. Gasps rippled across the room. Then I revealed the financial records, the mortgages, liens, debts, public information exposing their entire crumbling empire. My sister clasped a hand to her mouth. The groom stumbled back, horrified. "You knew," he demanded of his mother. She snapped. "This is an invasion of privacy. It's public record," I said calmly. Before she could argue, I played the final clip, her going through my sister's handbag. The room erupted again. My sister whispered, "Why would you do that?" The groom's mother couldn't answer. That was when I stepped into the center of the room. "This should never have been about status or appearances," I said. But tonight it became something worse: manipulation, sabotage, lies. I looked the groom's mother in the eye. "You tried to destroy my sister's reputation to protect your own. And you lied your way into an engagement you hoped would save you." The groom stared at me, stunned. "You own this place?" "This place," I answered, "and the rest of the chain." Shock moved across my sister's face like a slow sunrise: confusion, disbelief, and then shame. "Why didn't you tell me?" She whispered. "I tried," I said softly, "but you were too busy worrying about how I looked to hear what I'd accomplished." I presented the groom's mother with two options: leave quietly, and I'd absorb the cost of the event as a gift to my sister, or face charges for fraud and attempted sabotage. Her husband grabbed her arm. "We're leaving." And they fled the ballroom, leaving behind the ruins of their false legacy. The groom remained. Tears gathered in his eyes. "I didn't know," he said. "I never would have. This isn't about choosing sides," I told him. "It's about choosing truth." He took my sister's hands. "I want a life with you. A real one?" My sister broke down, sobbing, then turned to me. "I'm so sorry," she whispered, "for everything. For making you small in my mind. For not seeing you." I hugged her. "You're not small," I whispered. "You just forgot who you were." The ballroom slowly calmed. The band played something soft. Staff nodded their thanks. A party turned into a reckoning. A family cracked and remade. A truth finally uncovered. The next morning, my sister returned to the hotel wearing simple clothes and asked where she should start. I pointed her toward housekeeping. She went without argument, wanting to understand the people she'd spoken over. The groom asked to join the accounting team, determined to confront the numbers his family had ignored for years. Weeks passed. They moved into a modest apartment, paid their own rent, burnt their first homemade dinners, laughed at their failures, and learned how to build something real. Meanwhile, the groom's family lost their estate. Quietly, predictably. Truth doesn't roar. It reveals. A year later, my sister married under the sunlight of the hotel garden, no chandeliers. No performances, just honesty and love. She walked through the service entrance on purpose that day, smiling like she finally understood where her real life began. I stood in the back, watching her step into a future she chose. For the first time in a long time, everything felt right.